We gather as a school this morning to reflect on 2019, to celebrate student and staff achievement, and to farewell our leavers as we mark the end of another outstanding year at Woodford House. While we celebrate the admirable efforts of our prize winners across service, sporting, academic and cultural endeavours, we also acknowledge the many quiet achievements and, most importantly, the many unrecognised individual acts of service and kindness. We also applaud the tremendous efforts of those who support our girls, our families. Today, we are all part of history. We mark 125 years of education for girls at Woodford House. 108 years of those here on this magnificent Havelock North Hill. When we look back at the year in review, we had very high expectations of how we could and should mark this momentous occasion in the history of Woodford House. Our planning started well in advance and involved students, staff, parents, old girls, board members, friends and businesses associated with the school. Like all highly anticipated events, when the day finally comes, it can risk being an anticlimax. However, thankfully not so for us. Founders' Day, Friday, February the 22nd. The day unfurled before us, suffice to say, it was huge and beyond all we had wished for. The ensuing weekend was similarly delightful, and the cacophony of voices did not subside until late Sunday evening. So many stories came to life as people reunited and shared moments together, memories together, hugged, laughed, cried, and yes, yelled. At times it was absolutely chaotic, but it was wonderful. 2019 is not only significant because we have marked a special birthday milestone in the life of the school, but it's also the end of our current strategic plan. Recently, we came together as a community to develop our ideas and create a fresh, new, shared vision for the next 3 years at Woodford House. Taking inspiration from our school history, I began exploring some of the important foundational documents of Woodford House, including the wonderful early writings of Mabel Annie Hodge. When she responded to her brother Alfred's plea in 1893 to come to Hastings, New Zealand. With a rising population of over 3,000, the demand for education had become apparent. Bravely, 31-year-old Mabel Annie Hodge set sail from England with her brother, Frank, and by the end of her first year here, she declared her intention: I must open a real school for girls. Another milestone in our school history was the move from an independent or private school to a state integrated school in 1999. Surprisingly, it was in this rather unassuming, dry and bureaucratic document called the Deed of Integration that I again found significant cause for reflection and inspiration, I might add. In 1998, Woodford House filed an official application to the Department of Education, making a case for a recognised status as a special character school. A crucial process that determined the scope and brief for continuation. Securing this official partnership between the Crown and Woodford House meant the newly formed Board of Proprietors could continue to offer a unique education tailored to our story, free from the rising waves of educational trends and political manoeuvrings. This is no small matter, and not all schools were so fortunate. In fact, my own school, St Patrick's Dominican College Teshmakers, in Oamaru, which shared so many similarities to Woodford House, faced the death knell, and it closed after only 66 years. In justifying our special character status, amongst other stipulations, emphasis was placed on the inclusion of religious instruction and ethics as an integral part to school life, in the classroom, the boardroom, the dining hall, the boarding houses, chapel. We read and hear about ethical conundrums daily. Some of the big guns are citizens ignoring genocide, Goldman Sachs executives covering up billions of dollars in financial fraud, drunk sailors crashing oil tankers. We are taught that these are black and white events, and that the actors are villainous caricatures devoid of any redeeming qualities. The idea is that if you students find yourself in one of these clear-cut situations of doing right and wrong, recalling a theoretical lesson on ethics will provide the answer. However, academic forays into analytical ethics and philosophy risk missing the weight and messiness of life. Our moral development does not occur in an inculcated bubble or safe space shielded from the hostility of an opposing idea. Truth is not necessarily found on Christmas morning sitting under the tree, and your true character is not discovered in a bubble bath. You grow, and thus we as a society move forward when you are met with something, an idea, a culture, a tradition that clashes so violently with what you are convinced is right that it causes you to make a decision. Living ethically is not something you simply activate when you are in the right situation. And I am more convinced than ever that our special character community is special because we can be declarative about much more than academic credentialing. We can speak freely about matters of moral principle in chapel, in our classrooms, in our conversations, and we do not need permission to do so. Our girls regularly hear countercultural, anti-fragility messages. As we read in Romans, we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. Therefore, ethical behaviour is the natural progression of a life lived in accordance with those timeless virtues we hold so dearly here at Woodford House: discipline, courage, wisdom. Attempting to lay a strong ethical code on top of any individual who fails to even recognise these as values is flimsy and liable to collapse at the first opposition. Evidence of this abounds. Our society is full of people who would tell you what they would do if they were appointed to a key role, if they were rich and powerful. Yet, they may not think twice about dropping a plastic cup on the ground, or the social and geopolitical inequities of those who provide the clothes and technologies that enable our first world living standards. Our moral compass is not preset, but must be shaped and developed over time, alongside our developing intellect and characters. This can occur in numerous ways amidst our school day and our interactions. It is not an exact science. It is not even a subject, lesser still a building or a set of rules. Ethical discourse is not some high pursuit reserved for hypothetical scenarios. Rather, it is the small daily acts and the choices we make. Similarly, when we explore ethics, we would do well to keep in mind simplicity rather than complexity. Abstract scenarios may risk losing relevance. We must first teach the power of doing the right thing in the smallest of acts where nothing is at stake, before hoping to change the behaviour of those who are under intense pressure with much to gain. An ethical community is one where individuals take responsibility for themselves and respect others. We should be thankful for our rich school heritage and the foundational documents framing our special character status, for they give us both liberty and responsibility. The inclusion of religious instruction and ethics into our deed of integration was certainly inspired, and we would do well to pay serious attention not only to what we are doing with our lives, but also to how we are living and for what purpose. If we agree with Socrates that the unexamined life is not worth living, then surely the unlived life is not worth examining. To our leavers, girls, you will not be addressed as Year 13 students ever again. Your school days are over. Nunc acceptabile tempus. Now is the time to leave this special place. I hope your days have been happy ones, filled with laughter and the formation of lifelong friendships. I hope you have a noble vision for your life and a great sense that you have a tremendous role to play. I hope you have been challenged, not only intellectually, but really challenged to explore your beliefs and establish your values, because I can promise you it will be this self-knowledge that will guide your path ahead. I hope you feel a strong sense that life is much more than the pursuit of hedonistic pleasures, and rather it is a call to action, to take responsibilities that will then give your life real purpose, real meaning, and real fulfilment. I hope you remember the principles of seed time and harvest. Simply put, work hard and the rewards will come. I hope you will stay actively connected to your school and continue to shine your light as members of the Woodford House global community. Girls, thank you for your gifts to our school and our community. You have made your mark. We have been blessed by you all. Ngā mihi nui.